Now for commodities market updates. See, we're looking at canned foods. First one is corned beef. It's a salted, curated brisket of beef and deployed for a multiplicity of purposes. Price of corned beef, about 200 grams, increased by 20% to 900 naira per can from 750 naira in the last 12 months. Let's hear more now from Shey Omidiora, analyst, financial derivatives company. Great to have you, Shey.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me today.
Yeah, so no surprise, everything is rising at this point. And what do you think are the primary reasons behind this increase in price of corned beef? And what can be done to mitigate further increases in the price of this commodity? Because I don't know if the prices of cow is going up.
Okay, yeah, so I mean, we have seen global inflation, just spiral out of control. We are seeing monetary policy, monetary committees all around the world trying to curtail inflation as it spirals, as it goes out of everyone's control. It's no longer transitory, according to the Fed, that it's now something that's here to stay. So in that regard, it's not surprising at all that things like canned food, which we also do not even produce here, is increasing substantially, and we have seen a 20% increase in the last 12 months. We also know for a fact that global supply chains have been under immense pressure with the backlog of demand that is currently now being in the effect of being given all the way to consumers. And around the globe, we are seeing this because of these supply constraints. Prices are going up. Demand is not going down, and it's not cratering anytime soon. So we are seeing the effects of that in the prices of all commodities, and not just corned beef. And of course, we have also seen the currency depreciate substantially in the past 12 months by about 20% to about $615 naira to the dollar in the autonomous market as well. So I mean, all of these things have had a part to play in the increase in prices of corned beef, as we have seen. And of course, in terms of mitigating the price increases, it has to be a structural change, because I mean, to the extent that supply chains are not automated, for instance, in many parts of the world, then of course that part has to be taken care of, so that I mean, in some of these backlogs can be taken care of pretty quickly, and we won't have to see increases or sharp increases like this in the near future. So infrastructural investment in infrastructure basically has to happen quickly, so that we will have to mitigate against future spikes in prices like this.
All right, but a close substitute, that's sardines. The price of that is actually also going up. And, you know, we see these prices, you know, moving up together. How does this impact other related commodities?
Okay, so I mean, as we know, both sardines and corned beef, it's not something you actually consume by themselves. It has to be consumed with something else. With sardines, for instance, maybe with bread, for instance, or in sandwiches. Same thing with corned beef. Same thing in jollof rice, for instance. So in all these delicacies, it's not so much so that both commodities are drivers of their complement. It's more or less whether or not we want to see these complements, that sardines and corned beef, in their own diets. And to the extent that prices are running out of control for people, it's either they themselves, consumers, will have to find alternatives to corned beef and sardines, because I mean, we also know the price of sardines have increased substantially in the past year or so. So it's more or less about consumers finding alternatives to their primary diets, to which they add corned beef and sardines, as against the other way around. So that I believe that's the way it's more or less it's going to work.
What do you think is the elastic limit for consumers at this point with these rising prices?
Yes, that's an interesting question. But I mean, ultimately, it's more or less going to be dependent on whether or not what consumers are looking for, the commodities they are particularly interested in, are essential commodities or luxury items. Now, for essential commodities, what we are likely to see, though, is that consumers will either reduce their rations, or they find alternatives or close substitutes to what they are already consuming. For luxury items, then, I mean, altogether, you might see people cutting them out altogether, nothing else at all, which, I mean, it's not a great thing to see because, I mean, discretionary income are all-time lows. We are seeing job cuts everywhere. So, I mean, all of these things are not great to see, but it's the current reality, and hopefully it changes soon.
And consumers cutting demand will actually, lead to more of that, more of job losses.
Yes, ultimately, because, I mean, with decreasing demand, then it means that sales are at all-time lows, which means companies aren't profitable. How are they able to pay their employees, for instance? And of course, it's all these things are going to have they are going to cascade into a number of other things, which, I mean, really is going to be all-time negative impact on global economies. So hopefully, I mean, we see an end to many of these things we are seeing across the globe: job cuts, decreased spending, because people really can't afford the things they could during the pandemic, when there was a lot of government spending so as to foster and bring the global economy out of recession. So hopefully we see an end to all of these things soon enough.
Right. Save the consumers, save the world. Right. Thank you so much, Seyi Omidiore, analyst, financial derivatives company. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me.